You've heard the stories, a name flashed across the local news, a check the size of a door, and you've pictured yourself in it for exactly as long as it takes to scroll past. You've heard the other half too, the winners who lost it all, who vanished, who ended up worse off than before the ticket. You never think it's you, not really, not until your card gets declined buying a $3 energy drink under a flickering pharmacy sign, and the slip of paper folded in your wallet, bought 4 days ago on a dare from your sister, starts matching numbers on a phone you're only half paying attention to. The first number lines up, and you tell yourself it's nothing, the kind of coincidence that happens to somebody else in a headline you don't click on. Then the second number lands, and your thumb stops scrolling. The third number, and your shoulder goes stiff against the pharmacy counter, where a teenager is bagging up someone's prescription 3 feet away, completely unaware that the ground under your sneakers just tilted. By the fourth number, your jaw is tight in a way that has nothing to do with worry, and everything to do with worry's better-looking cousin. Fifth number. Sixth number. All 6. You don't gasp, you don't laugh, you don't grab the stranger next to you at the counter, and that's the part that surprises you later, not the shock itself, but how quiet it is underneath. You fold the ticket once, then again, until it fits into the small zipper pocket of your bag you never use for anything, and your hands are doing this without checking in with the rest of you first. Some old, careful instinct already knows this ticket isn't something you show your neighbor, your coworkers, or the teenager at the register, especially not the teenager at the register. You sit in your car in the parking lot for 11 minutes before you turn the key. You do the kind of math people do when they aren't really doing math. The ticket cost $2, the numbers were your kids' birthdays and your late dog's age, you bought it because your sister dared you to, half joking, both of you pretending your savings accounts weren't a punchline. It wasn't a joke. You drive home past the same gas station, the same diner with the sign that still says fresh pie daily even though they stopped making pie in March, the same mailbox with the dent from the storm you never got around to fixing. Your porch light is on. Your partner's car is exactly where it always sits on a Thursday. Nothing about your kitchen has changed, the same crack in the tile by the sink, and you're standing there holding a folded piece of paper that could buy the whole street, realizing it isn't a windfall yet. It's a decision, and the second you say the number out loud to anyone, it stops being yours to control. So you don't say it, not that night. You kiss your partner hello like it's any other Thursday, and you spend the next several hours quietly researching what it actually takes, legally, to make sure the world never learns your name. The attorney's office is on the 6th floor of a building downtown, and the receptionist doesn't blink when you say why you're there, which tells you people like you walk through that door more than the firm's website lets on. The lawyer, a calm woman named Marisol who's clearly done this before, sits you down and says the sentence that's been sitting under your ribs since the parking lot. Don't sign the back of that ticket yet. You almost had. Signing it makes it yours, publicly, permanently, the moment anyone photographs it. She slides a claim form across the desk instead, and near the bottom, small enough you'd have missed it alone, there's a box, prize winner elects to remain anonymous. She explains it the way she's explained it dozens of times, your state allows the box if you take the lump sum instead of the annuity, because annuity payments release your name after a set number of days no matter what. Lump sum and anonymity, or nothing. You ask what the lump sum actually comes to, and she turns her screen around. The number on the billboard was $500 million. The number under cash value is $198 million, and you feel your stomach do something complicated, not disappointment exactly, more like watching a number lose half its size before you've spent a cent of it. That's before taxes, she adds, in the tone of someone delivering a diagnosis that's serious but survivable. What comes next isn't glamorous. An irrevocable trust, drafted that week, under a name that isn't yours, something forgettable, something you'd scroll past without noticing. You land on a name after the creek behind the house you grew up in. The trust claims the prize, the trust's name sits on any public record, yours never does. Who else knows, Marisol asks, and it's not small talk, she needs the number, because every additional name is a point of failure in an equation she's solved 100 times before. Your partner, eventually. Your sister, not yet, not until you understand what telling her turns into. You sign where she points, and the pen feels heavier than it should. Weeks later, you're sitting in your car during a lunch break, refreshing a banking app that hasn't updated all week, your badge still clipped to your shirt, because on paper you're still just a person with a 9 to 5. Then the number loads, $130,680,000. A coworker walks past your windshield carrying a sandwich and doesn't glance twice, because there's nothing to see, just someone checking a phone like anyone else. Your accountant, a sharp, unhurried man named Desmond, had already walked you through why it isn't the full $198 million. The federal government takes 24% automatically the moment the trust claims the prize, no negotiating, just gone before it's technically yours. But that 24 is only a deposit, because a win this size pushes you into the top bracket, and the rest comes due at filing, closer to 37% altogether. On $198 million, that lands near $73 million owed, full stop, however you slice the timeline. Your state, at least, takes no cut of its own, one of a handful that don't touch lottery winnings, so what the federal government doesn't take, you actually keep. Sitting with that final number, something over $125 million, doesn't feel like winning. It feels like surviving something with your balance intact. The purchases that follow aren't the interesting part. A watch bought 2 hours from home through an LLC nobody's ever heard of, wrapped like it's nothing because to the man behind the counter, it is. A car registered to a business entity, driven twice a month, always somewhere far enough from anyone who knows your face. What actually matters happens at 11 at night on a laptop at your kitchen table, a chunk of the fortune moved into a plain, boring index fund, the same instrument every real advisor recommends and almost nobody buys. It's the least exciting purchase you make all year, and somehow the only one that doesn't need a story attached to it, because to anyone glancing at a shared statement, it just looks like saving. Your partner almost finds out by accident, a laptop left open, an auto-filled tab, an invoice for a private flight loading instead of a boarding pass. What is this, they ask, and it isn't really a question, it's the sound of someone doing math they don't want the answer to. You don't lie, not fully, you tell them the smallest true thing you can manage, that you won something, that you've been scared telling them would change something before you'd figured out how to hold it yourself. How long, they ask. 9 months. You watch that number land on them the way the tax number landed on you, not disbelief exactly, something heavier, the ache of realizing the person across the table has been carrying something enormous, alone, on purpose. Months after that conversation, you're standing in a half-built house on a quiet stretch of shoreline, bought through the trust, chosen because from the water side there's no road close enough for anyone to ask questions, privacy priced directly into the geography. Part of the fortune sits in index funds, part of it sits in something duller, a stake in storage facilities 2 counties over, boring and steady and immune to headlines, and a smaller piece funds a scholarship program near where you grew up, none of it wearing your name, maybe none of it ever will. Your sister still doesn't know. You still buy gas at the same kind of station out of habit, though never that one. What you built is real, protected and growing quietly in the background, exactly what the lawyer promised in that office over a year ago. What it costs is something no spreadsheet tracks, the version of you that used to say the boring parts of a Tuesday out loud without filtering them first. Notice it this week, the small moment where you almost say something true and edit it instead. That's not caution. That's the actual price, the one nobody quotes you at the start, and there's always a next conversation waiting, closer than you think, where the truth costs more the longer you hold on to it.